Hello, beautiful people. It's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be checking this video from Charlie Kirk. Together, let's check it out.
Yes, sir. Hi there, Mr. Kirk. Thank you for being out here, and I appreciate your eagerness for an open dialogue. I believe the scariest thing about your beliefs is your eagerness to have a Christian theocracy. And I think that's the scariest thing about J.D. Vance as well. Can you defend it, explain how it doesn't, or how it goes with the First Amendment, and also how it won't affect people who aren't Christian?
Well, I don't want a theocracy. I want this. I want the Constitution. So I want a free society. But I am a Christian, and we have Christian roots, and we must understand that.
Yeah. Okay, the Christian roots. First Amendment, you don't see a little
No, let's
disagreement there?
read what the First Amendment says. So what do you think the First Amendment says?
Freedom of religion, freedom of speech.
Right. So how is that an issue?
It's not. You can be a Christian in the
Yeah.
U.S., obviously. But I think what you're promoting, and you've been J.D. Vance's biggest supporter.
I'm a huge J.D.
Right,
Vance
you are
supporter, but I'm not
huge
going to
J.D.
speak
Vance
for him.
guy.
I'll speak for myself. Fair enough?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fair.
got it. But no, what's the issue with the First Amendment?
I have no issue with the First Amendment.
No, but how
I
is
see a
that
danger.
irreconcilable with Christianity?
I see a danger with a Christian theocracy.
Well, I agree. I'm not a theocrat. I want a free society.
You support people who are Christian theocrats.
Well, it depends. I mean, I might agree with them on certain ishes.
Vance is a huge Christian theocrat.
Vance again, I will speak for him on this. He wants what I want. He wants a restoration of a free society.
He wants a Christian society.
Well, a Christian society is different than a theocracy. Well, you'd agree. If you want the most Americans to be Christian, it's different than the composition of the government that you want, right?
I agree with that.
Yeah, so I want a revival of Christianity in this country. I want people to give their life to Jesus in huge numbers, but I want a government that is rooted in the Constitution and is a Republican, small r Republican form of government.
Fantastic. You defended that very well. I think you often correlate that Christianity to the loss of masculinity in the country. Would that be correct?
Sometimes, yeah, I think.
But my question here is, why is it that when people talk about Christianity or talk about Christians, it is always looked as forbidden or they want to attack it? But I mean, when other religions want to talk and say, talk about theirs or try to impose their laws and their values on, or their voices be heard, it is not seen as forbidden. Why is that? Why is that? Why do people always want to fine tune and look for ways and say, oh, this side of Christianity they don't agree with, but they agree with this side of Christianity? You don't up and pick and choose. Because other religions don't up and pick and choose which side to agree with and which side not to agree with. So why is that? Because we all know Christianity or Christians are the most accommodating and accepting religion. That is true.
That as America has become more secular and feminine, we've become less Christian, for sure. But I think that men who understand the gospel and understand the scriptures will take ownership of their life, of their family, and then their country, for sure.
Okay,
But there's exceptions to that.
You have said that lost masculinity and also persecuting whites has been leading to Auschwitz, correct?
Well, that's not exactly what I said, but yes, I said if you single out a group based on skin color or heritage, that is how you get Auschwitz, which is quite a statement, but there's a lot of steps and sequences before you get to Auschwitz, but yes.
We don't see any dichotomy with that and being a Christian society.
Well,
That's
no.
how we get there. If you look at...
Oh, okay, so you think Nazi Germany was Christian?
I'm saying Hitler defended himself in Christian belief. He used nationalistic German ideas. He said, this is what Germany was, this is what we want Germany to return to. And that's why he rose to power. He rose democratically.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I think we should all, myself included, do a better job. Not everything is Nazi Germany. Do we agree?
Yes, you did say that.
No, I said I could do a better job of that, right?
Okay.
So there are plenty of other examples in history to point to that are not Nazi Germany, right?
Yeah.
But this idea that Adolf Hitler was some sort of like devout Christian or would use Christian symbology or imagery is very, very flawed. He was a nationalist socialist, mind you. Nazi literally means the Nationalist Socialist Workers' Party. But there were a lot of Christians and pastors that he imprisoned and killed, Dietrich Bonhoeffer being one of them. There was a lot of conscientious objectors in Nazi Germany that resisted Hitler. But the bigger issue in Nazi Germany was churches that did nothing. They didn't agree or disagree, but they were just sat idly by. And so what I say as a Christian, again, overusing the Nazi Germany comparisons, is we as Christians should not sit idly by when evil is occurring. And I think that's a lesson to take out of Nazi Germany.
That's right. Completely fair.
Cool.
But I think it goes beyond national Germany. I think a lot of nationalism has ties with religion beyond national Germany. If you look at Cambodia, if you look at Turkey, if you look at Italy in the 1930s, they directly correlated religion with their nationalism.
Not always. Mao's China was explicitly atheist, right? Stalin was explicitly.
But Mao wasn't fascist.
Well, he was a murderer. He was really bad.
Yes.
Right. But again, how you define it, he had government control over everything. Mao was one of the greatest evils ever. Explicitly atheist. Stalin was explicitly atheist, right? So nationalism is also a very healthy thing at times too. It does not always lead to extreme horrors. Do you agree?
I think you can differentiate nationalism and patriotism.
Okay.
I think I don't have any fears with patriotism.
What I think is nationalism, what you probably think is patriotism, so I'll grant you that. But the idea, what we're living through is inverse nationalism, where we're told that our symbols are terrible, our history is crummy.
And I don't disagree.
No, you don't like that, right? No. But yes, nationalism can get too far, of course. But we're not even in that arena or that ballpark.
I think we are close to that arena. I think people believe that Trump's a messiah. That's what scares me.
I don't hold that view. Jesus Christ is my messiah.
I think people who support you hold that view, and that scares me.
I don't know if anyone here thinks Trump is a messiah.
That allows, he's equivalent himself to Jesus. Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
I've never heard that.
Yes,
I don't believe that. Meaning, I don't believe he is that, right?
Yes.
Seriously, where is all of this coming from? Because obviously, lots of people say Trump, people fear Trump. And I mean, many nations or many countries per se, they fear Trump because, I mean, he has a different views in regards to how his politics and business plan goes. So lots of people also said that, oh, the potential WW3, which is about to happen or whatever, and they're waiting for the US election and all of that. And people be like, oh, Trump is going to save the world from the WW3. But at the same time, saying Trump is the Messiah, is this another way or scheme that they want to put and push fear onto people? So they be like, okay, they counter religion, counter Christianity, because of course it's going to be Christians first, and then counter voting, what is the right and benefit of what is going to save America and potentially save the world. Is this a scheme or a way? Because it's not making sense. Saying Trump as a messiah, okay. What? Who said that? Who stated that? It's not making sense. Was it the mainstream media?
Meaning, I don't believe he is that, right? But I think, let me ask you a question. In the current world we're in, would a nationalist movement or a globalist movement scare you more?
I believe within this country, a national movement. I'm not a globalist. I
know you're not.
I thought we should have gone out of Afghanistan. I disagree with a lot of less policies on globalism. I think for me, as not being a Christian, I'm afraid of nationalism. I'm afraid of how that leads to removing abortion rights. I believe that how that relates to only allowing immigrants who are Christian. That's my greatest fear.
Do you see and do you acknowledge that the inheritance of this great country was largely built by Christians?
The majority of the people in the country were Christians. That doesn't mean we are.
Do you think it has anything to do with why the country was great?
Oh, I'm not going to get trapped here. I'm not going to let myself.
Well, it's not a trap. I'm just like, because it was a great country and most of the country was Christian. Are those two things two separate data points, or is there any reason why those two things were both true?
I think there's a link, but I think there's plenty of immigrants who were not Christian. I think Jewish people, I think immigrants of all countries. Yeah. Just because you have the majority of Christians in the country, in America being a great country, doesn't mean that they're inextricably linked.
Let's take the Christian element out of it.
Yeah.
Let's just say the majority of the country was religious. Do you think the country was better when most of the country was religious and going to a church, a religious service, believed that there was a God, that they believed that there was something higher than them, that there was something holding them accountable? Do you think the country was better then?
Depends who you were in the country. If you were a slave, if you were an immigrant, if you're a person who wasn't Christian being persecuted, I would say no.
1980s. We didn't have slaves in the 1980s.
No, we did not have slaves in that. Right? You're bringing up the moral majority.
Yeah. So like the 1980s, which objectively, there's this whole movement to bring back the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Was the country? Was there anything to the point? I'm asking for a reason when more people believed in God.
I don't think it was believing in God. I think it was less. We were just less polarized as a people in the 80s.
Yeah. So of course, you know my belief. My belief is that when a country becomes less religious, more secular, something fills that void. And that void right now is leftism. That void is BLM movements, the trans stuff, Democrat politics. And so you can have high opinions or low opinions of Christianity, but would you agree with Richard Dawkins, who's an atheist, that he likes Christian society?
Yeah, I think it depends what Christian society. I think a modern day Western Christian society, I don't necessarily have a problem with. I think sects of Christianity, certainly KKK, certainly FODS, I have problems with.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to find any KKK here. So, yeah.
But those are the people. I'm saying.
Fair enough.
The far Christians are voting for Trump. Far Christians are not voting for Kamala Harris.
You're coming after this from a great perspective. I don't think you're going to believe me, but I hope I plant a seed. That you have an idea that's largely pushed by the media, that there's a bunch of like super KKK radical people that are waiting to take over the country, when in reality your average Christian's like this guy who just like wears a cross and I would imagine believes in Christianity because you have a cross. Okay, good. Not everyone does. And it's just like you know what I mean? Just like a pious person that believes there's a creator and we are not him, and wants to go to church service and is doing their best and falls short. You know, but what I'm getting at is the mechanisms of a religious society is good for everybody. When somebody walks around and thinks that you were created and that you're not God, you tend to have better citizens.
That's completely fair. And I think religion grounds a lot of people. I'm saying I experienced anti-Semitism because of someone's religion in high school.
I'm sorry.
They were not pious. You say everyone's pious.
No, I think not everybody. I
think it's less people than you think are pious.
Okay, fair enough. And you have a life experience that has shaped your view, and now you have.
You don't have that life experience.
No, I don't. I have the opposite perspective, and that's fair enough. Are you Jewish?
I am.
Okay.
I'm very secular about it as well.
You're welcome here in the conservative movement, for whatever it's worth. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So look at other nations or countries who are falling short or who are falling short of their religious values, most especially Christian values. Once a nation or country falls short of their Christian values, it goes left. And it becomes really chaotic that you're not even understanding what is going on. Then you see different sectors, different movements, different groups, different everything, disrupting everything on what the nation stands or believes in. So make it make sense. Why is it normalized that people would counter Christianity, counter Christians' values and whatnot, but other religions are not to be countered, are not to be forbidden? And when you talk about other religions in the way other religions will talk about, or other people will talk about Christians, you will be singled out as whatever name it is. But I mean, Christians don't even name people to say, oh, you are anti-Christian or anti-whatever. We don't get it. And Christians are told to always bottle things up, forgive, whatever. Why is that? Why do people hate Christian nations? Why is the mainstream media pushing and teaching people, telling people who to hate, what religion to go or to believe in, what to believe in? Why is that? Because they know. And they don't want you to know the truth or to live an upright lifestyle. They love chaos. But this was an interesting conversation. Regardless, let me know what you think. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I would really love you to share that. You can share other useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.